And we're back with more of the Smash Talk podcast. Of course,
Hey.
joining me on this square of a round table is, of course, once again, it was Arisdale, Lux, and Strides. Welcome back, guys.
Yes. And
Glad to be back.
speaking, yes, glad to be back. I had to get some water, clear my throat a little bit, all that good stuff. This is actually like I haven't even been talking that much, but
No,
in
you're good.
general, like my
I mean,
voice starts to get all like,
it's that's why I tell people like drinking
God,
water. Water. I actually D1 was the one who told me this. You want to make sure you drink room temperature water while you're doing
Whew.
commentary. And always have water on you. But it's not about
Yeah.
commentary, guys. It is about Team Japan. Honestly, as of late, they have been a force to reckon with. It all kind of stems back a little bit way when we talk about like Frostbite. Like Frostbite, they just came in,
Oh yeah, the crew battle.
the
Oh my
crew
god.
battle, and like
Damn.
Abba was like, "Look, man, we don't even need to get to our biggest player T, which none of you guys apparently are ready for, is a Pac-Man. That's who we have." And then nobody even got to fight T. And then it's just like, great, America gave up. Like you could even tell, like everybody was like thumbs down, like we're done.
They actually didn't even play Zachary.
No,
Zachary was last.
Damn.
yeah,
That's
Zachary was
crazy.
like,
So,
they're like, we
yeah,
have
they
Zachary,
didn't.
we have T, we have all these players. None of you guys got to like our big hitters.
We gotta have that run back though, because I feel like Samsora at the time, going against, I think it was Leia the Greninja.
Yeah,
I
that was
believe
bad.
that was like just getting three stock. That was kind of like a huge turnaround, especially because we all know Samsora's amazing player,
Mm-hmm.
but kind of was like a little bit underrepresented there. And I feel like we definitely need to have that salty run back for sure. It needs to happen because that was just, I think, his inexperience with the matchup in general or
Yeah.
nerves,
And
combination.
what was even more crazy when we speak about like Japan's dominance, like Leia actually beat I studying in the Greninja Ditto, and he beat Stroder
Damn.
in the Greninja Ditto at Evo this year. So like Leia as a player, honestly, as a Greninja player, like he definitely is a force to be reckoned with. But honestly, as of late, like Team Japan has been doing nothing less than short of fantastic. Like this past weekend, right at Switchfest, we had Kameme who won the entire thing, and then we had he didn't win, but like T was out there at run it back. He almost won the whole thing if it wasn't for Leia, the Bowser main Leon. So it's pretty interesting. Lux, I know you go way back to when we used to call this game Super Smash Bros. Brawl. I'm curious, what do you make of all this?
I think that Japan's dominance in the game is the predictable result of a lot of systemic choices that they make as a community. Some of them by necessity. So if you look at Japan, it's a very unique situation because up until about sometime in 2018, they passed legislation that allowed them to play actually for money,
Mm-hmm.
only predicated on if that player was licensed by the Japanese esports union. So legally speaking, like how a average pot filler like me can go to a tournament, pay entry, and have it contribute to the prize. They can't really do that in Japan in the same way that they do in the United States, just based off their legislation and gambling laws, pretty much, which is unfortunate for them. It's kind of curious to see how such a video game powerhouse has been kind of kept out of the major esports infrastructure or community in like not in the, or and compared to something like South Korea that's absolutely over the top in terms of some of their esports going on.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, there's a lot more dedication I feel like from the Japanese players that when pride is on the line, that brings out something special in people more so than money. And the lack of having that money be the primary incentive kind of makes them a little more competitive, believe it or not, just because there isn't so much of a, I guess, disincentive to go. They're trying to help just build the community up and help each other while still proving that they're the absolute best that they can be. So I think it's just one of those perfect storms of circumstances that just happens to be a factory for extremely amazing and creative and talented players.
Mm-hmm. Strides, what do you think? I'm want to kind of want to hear everybody before I make my opinion.
What do I think about Team Japan and why they're so good?
Yeah. What do you? I
Uh,
know like you kind of like hung out with them a little bit more as of late. Because I know you guys usually bring them out for like the events, and you kind of get to talk to them a little bit. But I'm curious, what do you think?
well, I don't. it's basically the same thing that Lux said. So like basically, since you can't really play tournaments for money there,
Mhm.
they like pretty much only play for like the love of the game. So that's why you just see people like using all these off meta characters to like the best of their ability because I mean that's just what they want to do. They just like the game that much. They don't have to like pick a top tier because they want to win all the tournaments because they need to win the tournaments. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. It's just really interesting because they're not as like influenced by like the trends of what characters are winning all the time, I guess. And that just leads to everyone just all these character specialists coming out and just like really just throwing people by surprise. Like I don't know. I think T and Kome doing as well as they did is just like not only they're just amazing players, but like who knows how to deal with a top level Pac Man or like Shulk like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's like it kind of comes back to like what I said earlier, like the previous topic, like Elegant, right? He does so well with Luigi, um, but when you think about it, nobody else uses Luigi, not even in
Mhm.
Japan that I'm so far aware of. Like, so when it comes down to like Japan's pick of characters, like off meta characters, it's pretty big. And even back then, like when Kameme made his first big run on the scene, right for Evo, like he was picking a character that nobody would have saw top eight at Evo, and that was Mega Man of all characters.
Mhm.
And he
Yeah.
got so far with the characters, and I feel like that's kind of like one thing Japan kind of prioritizes over us in the U.S. is like us in the U.S. are like, oh, why are you picking Mega Man? He's low tier. Don't pick Mega Man. Like pick a top tier. Pick Cloud. Pick Bayo. Pick Fox. Don't pick a low tier. And then Japan is like, well, I kind of want to pick whoever I like, and I'm so good at him that I'm one of the best players of this character now.
Mhm.
And that's kind of like another thing with Smash too. It's not really always about who you're using. It's kind of how you're playing the character, and I feel like
Mm-hmm.
Japan's like a perfect representation for that. Especially because in general, from what I've noticed, Japanese players kind of play very unorthodox and really different, and kind of think way outside of the box. I think I remember bringing it back to Leia really quickly. He had I believe he was fighting the Buzz, and there was like a Pikmin latched onto him, and to like recover back on stage, he just like countered the Pikmin that was on him and was able to just do this like 200 IQ, like strategy to get back onto the stage. And it's like, man, like that's what I'm saying. This is another reason why this game is so cool. You can just pick up who you want to use and who you like, and you can get good results. And I feel like the Japanese players do a really good job, kind of holding their own and getting the results as we're seeing. Especially we're saying, with like Kameme getting results with Mega Man and stuff too. It's crazy. They're definitely, if not one of the best or best region. So they're scary for sure. But
Mhm.
Japanese players, man, they come to play, and every time they come down, like they're here to take our money. Like
Yeah.
they do a really good damn job. So
One of the
always
things I think we
interesting.
should consider on it too is I'm going to do some math for you guys just from population because I think population density often is a big determining factor with how talented the scene is in general. I think last I checked, Japan was responsible for about 20%, a little over 20% of the overall sales of Smash Ultimate. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong,
Mm-hmm.
but that's a substantial number. We're talking like almost probably close to 3 million at this point. Maybe it's just over 2 million, but and then if you think about the population size compared to the land mass, there's 120 million people in Japan in a land mass size that is about the size of California. So, from a talent perspective, while the United States probably has a majority of the purchases for Smash Ultimate overall, the amount of players, from a population standpoint, it's spread way across the entire United States. So it's a lot more difficult for us to get together in terms of having the same amount of practice as opposed to like Japan. If you pull up any of the results,
Makes
it's like
sense.
literally all of their top players are at every single freaking event because
Yeah.
it's that's kind of the way it is in Japan culturally speaking. So I think there's something to be said about just there's a higher index of people that buy the Smash games per capita in Japan, and comparing that to just the sheer logistics of even online play, I'm sure their online play is a lot less laggy than ours in terms of practicing.
That's what I've been told too. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of like an excuse for us, I guess, roughly. But like, I've been told their net play is
John's.
much better than like
Yeah,
yeah,
it's still terrible, but it's not as bad as here for sure.
yeah, it's not
Like
as bad.
it's nowhere near as good as offline, but they can like you can still get good off of playing it.
Yeah, exactly. And I also feel like they're, I mean, like culturally speaking, like their mindset, that kind of like separates us between them. Like
Yeah, they don't complain for anything, man.
they don't. And you know what's funny is like here, like of course we're playing much more serious, right? Because there's thousands of dollars on the line. But like at the same time, like I watch I watch Abba and I watch Kome Abba and Shuton play. They were kind of laughing and talking to each other in the middle of their match, like at MSM. So they kind of like they do know it's serious. Like there's money, yes. Like Abba wants us money for sure, but he's like, you know, I'm also having fun here because I'm understanding how you're playing right now against me, and you're understanding how I'm playing against you. It's their mindset too. Like I said, over here, there's like a stigma against like picking a low tier. Back then, Pac-Man was considered low tier. Well, guess what? T almost won SCR 2018 last year over Elegant, picking up Pac-Man. You know, that says a lot.
Yeah.
You know,
Then
Kameme got so far with a character people considered, you know, almost the very bottom of mid tier or mid tier in general was Mega Man. You know, think about that. Shuton, he's still out here with a character that people just say is technically invaluable, winning games with Olimar. You know, so that's kind of like one of their mindsets. It's like we know our character works, but we're making it work.
yeah, and speaking of that too, I believe it was a 8 tier event, the Piranha Plant getting second
Yeah,
in
Brood.
Japan.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
What? That's crazy. Again, just showing, people that would originally think, okay, yeah, Piranha Plant, terrible character, probably low tier, whatever, etc. And then someone getting results. It's just kind of like I'm always surprised by the Japanese players, if anything, and kind of like you were just saying, just not a lot of people aren't like familiar with like Pac-Man matchups, stuff like that. Thought he was a bad character. Same thing that we're saying with Piranha Plant now. So I think that's also really interesting, and I'm glad someone's getting results like that. It kind of is what this game's all about.
Hmm.
And I think
Wow.
like Brood in particular is an interesting story, just in the context that he was the OG of the upset city players back in the Brawl days. He was like one of the first people that ever ended up beating Mewtwo King in tournament, Meta Knight versus Olimar at one of the
Mm.
Apexes. So it's kind of like a story going full circle of a player that was almost at the top of the meta game until our own SoCal's Larry Lurr carried him across the stage with Falco, and
He
ended
beat
up,
Zero too in Smash 4.
yeah,
He he
he beats
actually
everybody.
he beats the number one player in each game so far. So I'm just waiting for him to play Leo in this game.
Yeah, Leo better watch out. He's gonna give him the beatdown because with the Piranha
Yeah,
Plant of all characters, and then Elite
yeah,
Smash will be filled with all the Piranha Plants in the world. Just wait.
possible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We need to fly out Brook for the next saga.
for Mushroom Kingdom Saga. I'm surprised they didn't fly him out for Glitch 7. Because you know it's like minus
Yeah,
world and it's like
yeah,
it's Mushroom Kingdom
that's
thing.
yeah, that one was. I don't know. I feel like they missed a lot of people for that, but it's fine.
So, as a greater community, what do you think that we can take away as, the casual Americans on how to get our competitive meta to the same level as the Japanese
When I
players?
when I think about that question, I kind of like I'm a broken record with everybody I hang out with sometimes, but like I've kind of told everybody if you read Daigo's book, where it kind of summarizes his mindset and his like thought processes in beating the game is like I see a lot of people enter tournaments for the sole purpose of winning or trying to beat somebody, right? And then they lose, they get frustrated, they get salty. Daigo talks about how like when he did that, it would also cause the same problem to him. He would eat less because I see people who starve themselves at tournaments. He would be frustrated. He would be upset. He would be mad.
Mm.
And then when he changed his mindset from that to just I'm playing to learn, then things started to clearly open the doors. Like he'd play to learn his opponents, play to learn his opponent's habits, and he would be able to expose that. When you play to win, you start forward smashing the ghost of Smashville because you really want to win. Versus playing to learn, you're looking to, okay, I'm going to go ahead and toss out my boomerang to see how my opponent's going to react to, oh, he jumped at his shield, perfect. I'm going to go ahead and fit him with forward air because he jumped at his shield because that's his response. That kind of mindset is something that we sometimes don't do. overall in general. Sometimes I do see a lot of players like they really want that prize pool money, but in reality they should be looking to like, oh, I want to play. I came here solely for the purpose of playing Charlie because Charlie is good at this, and I really want to see like I want to be able to like fight that because last time we played he beat me, and I only want to play against Charlie. That's a much better mindset than like I want to win MSM today. You know that kind of deal. Like I think when players make the choice to not have that stronger mindset of like I want to play to win, and they have that I want to play to learn, things start to slowly become a much clearer path.
Hmm.
That's my thought process. I don't know what you guys
Yeah.
think. So yeah, everyone's quiet.
No, I
think on
realized I was
okay.
muted because it got loud in the background. I was like, go ahead, yeah, please.
I think on my end, one of the things that I would probably stress the most is sometimes it's not always about the money, and that in itself will probably lend itself towards a more positive mindset or community-based outlook. Um,
Hmm.
it seems that we kind of get wrapped up sometimes in our cookiness, especially towards the top of trying to only help out people that we have a vested interest in helping out.
That happens so
And
much often in SoCal. I have like I
right.
can't begin to tell you like how many Smash Fests I see are just like I'm gonna say quiet on this also. Go on.
Yeah, but in reality, taking a community first approach and using that to prop up the players at the top, I think will lend itself towards a more healthy, sustainable community ecosystem that'll let us, start making strides, not strides, but making steps towards being more on the same level of Japan. I think while it's fortunate that SoCal has such an active community, there are different little things that we can pull from Japan just and start applying them little by little and then
Hmm.
taking steps that way. And I think a lot of it we'll have to start at the top in terms of, what is the motivation behind playing and how does that apply and manifest itself in tournament attendance, structure of fees, different things like that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree with everything you're saying, and definitely I feel like in general, this game being such a mentally tasking game, everyone just being very competitive in the scene. That's kind of where everything stems, right? Is the competitiveness to the game. But yeah, if we just focus a little bit more on ways to like improve ourselves, or this game is really really difficult. Smash Ultimate probably being one of the most you know, difficult as far as just to have a good neutral. It's very technical, the mechanics, there's a lot that goes into it. And I feel like people look at it and are like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that looks so easy." And then it's like you try it and you don't realize you have to be either like frame perfect with stuff, like just inputs you have to make with your controller and short hop aerials and this and that and just all the mechanics that go into this game just makes it very competitive and fun. So if people just start focusing on like how they improve themselves and stop whining about like other characters in the games, or oh, I'm not making money through this, like just have fun with it. The community's chill. I mean, we've all been in the community for a long time, and we've made a lot of good friendships and stuff, and people just need to realize like it takes time. No one's just like starting off day one and going to be a master at anything that they're doing. So it takes time, a lot of investments, and I don't know. Yeah, I'm really glad like we got to touch all these topics because it was
Hmm.
it was cool to hear everyone's opinions. Chase and or Lux and Vance. I don't know where Strides went again, but like.
Wait,
He's
no.
Oh, he's like, all right. Let's hear
I, I,
strides, Scott.
I want to hear. I want to have Strides close us out on this.
Okay, so
Please do.
yeah, I guess the only thing I would say that we could learn is just like if you love a character, you should just focus on really pushing that character. I think
Hmm.
you should really try to make the character work as much as you can. If that's like your favorite character, because that's the thing I get from Japanese players. Like they really love a character, they just like, make it work and stick with it. And the other thing, it just seems like from what I notice, is they're just down to play everyone. Like there doesn't seem to be as much of like an ego or like just a clique, I guess, or like oh I only play with people that are this good or whatever. I feel like they just feel like they can learn from any player, and like they just always want to play with everyone, no matter like how good they are.
Yes.
Even when I went to Japan, I went to like a few Smash Fests, which they have pretty often too.
Mhm.
and they would just invite like everyone to come over. It doesn't matter like who it is. I remember I went once and there was a guy who was like, oh, he hadn't gone to a tournament before, like
Mhm.
he didn't really know the that many people, but they're just like they opened their house to him, and like everyone there is like insanely good. But they have this guy that's not even that good. They invite him over to play and practice and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one thing that I feel we could take from them to improve the quality of like how our community is here.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes like being a little bit too clicky kind of sets us back. Like we wonder
Mhm.
why SoCal sucks, but sometimes like a player will like it's a joke at this point because hey, at least Nico made it to top 8, and right now as time of recording, he's actually going to play the Buzz again one more time because he sent them to losers. But like that's kind
Let's
of
wrap it up so I can watch that.
yeah, it's one of those deals where like sometimes we do kind of the mindset is really important, and playing against everybody and playing everybody
Yeah.
is honestly a thing to behold. And it seems like Team Japan is never afraid to back down from a fight, while we're like, hey, I only want to play you because he's good. You're not good. He's good. I'd rather play him.
Yeah.
And I think that's the wrong way of doing things sometimes.
All right. Well, yeah, this is really chill. Thanks again, guys, for having me
Yeah, thank you
and
so much
having
for
me
Thank
a
being
you
a
for
part.
part of the show.
We'll have to get you back on
Yes.
sometime soon.
Please, especially when I, have my typical environment, it'll be a lot quieter. I'll have, I don't have to keep on messing with the webcam and stuff. Stop. But yeah, no, it was fun. Obviously, I'm looking forward to a lot more topics and stuff. So
Hmm.
it's been real. I hope you guys have a great night. And yeah, this was cool.
Yeah.
I really like this. It's awesome.
Um, of course, you guys can follow me at Vance_EXE. My Twitter is all right here. You can follow Lux at Chase the Lux, and of course, you can follow Arisdale right above, right there. That is her Twitter. And then, of course,
Right
you can
down below.
follow Strides. He's like right over there on his Twitter. Until next time, guys, it has been our pleasure to serve you, and you guys can watch us live on twitch.tv/2G Gaming. If you guys want to know when it happens, you guys can follow me or Lux or Strides or any of us. And
Or Edmund. Don't forget Edmund.
Yeah, or
Of course,
Edmund. Yeah,
of
for
Edmund.
sure. Yeah, or
Edmund.
Edmund, and we'll make those tweets out as soon as they are available, guys. Until next
All
time,
right.
bye.